Imagine if there was a pandemic that was worse than COVID that wiped out 95% of the population. Well, that's the premise of the book, The Seeker, by Glenn S Robertson. And he's here now to talk about this amazing book and the future. So welcome to the channel, Glenn S Robertson.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
So The Seeker, it's set in the 2134, so
Yep.
108 years from when this red plague happened and wiped out most of the earth. Now, what I love about this book, it's a dystopian story, but unlike most dystopian stories, there's no zombie apocalypse, there's no futuristic city. America has reverted back to the Wild West, which I love. And I just think that makes so much sense. So first of all, congratulations on the brilliant idea. But where did that come from? How did you go from 100 years from now, we're going back 200 years?
Well, I've always believed that if we were to have an apocalyptic event, the likelihood of us, moving forward into a utopian society, is very unlikely. I mean, at least not in the near term. It would probably take a couple hundred years before people got the lights back on. I mean,
Right.
especially if we're talking about a loss of population as severe as this. I mean, if you're down to 5% of the population, a lot of the knowledge base, a lot of the people that knew how to do all of these things, they're gone. They've
Yeah.
they've they've caught the plague and they are no longer with us. That's why the character Ghost, Seeker, the Seeker, is
Yeah.
so important. He spends his time, much of his time, going through the ruins, trying to find bits and pieces of one, what happened to the world,
Yes.
and two, things that might help the people that are currently surviving. Little things like, I mentioned a Mott and Bailey defense system, in the book, as far as things that people can use to, one, protect themselves, and two, maybe move society forward back to where they were,
Yeah.
with learning a few lessons along the way.
Great. So it's set in Wyoming. So Wyoming is the main destination.
Yep.
Denver's part of it. Denver, with the evil king in Denver. We'll get to him in a sec. One of the most notorious evil characters I've ever come across. And so tell us about Wyoming. Why is Wyoming the setting?
So Wyoming has always been very close to me. I have a long family history here, even though I didn't necessarily grow up in Wyoming. I've lived here for the last 10 years. My family had a farm up in northern Wyoming for 100 years, and it's always been close to heart. But it's also very Western at its soul.
Yeah.
Currently today, I mean, obviously we've got lights. We don't ride horses in the streets, but it's when you see a lot of Westerns or you hear a lot of Westerns, Wyoming is one of the first things that come
Right.
to mind for a lot of people. Not universally true, but Wyoming still has that soul of the West that I think made a very good locale. I mean, we're very remote. A lot of our cities are 50 to 60 miles from each other. If you're driving from, like Cheyenne to Cody, you're going to spend a lot of time on the road and you're going to
Hmm.
see a lot of open spaces. So that kind of open space really lends itself well to a Western.
Yeah.
But then, at the same time, because of the rural format, survival rates might have been and were in my story were a little bit better in Wyoming than they would have been in, say, like New York City or New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to give us a quick synopsis of Seeker? And then I've got some questions to ask you about the characters.
Sure, I will do my level best to do that without dropping any spoilers. Sorry if
All
I
right.
do.
That's why I didn't do it because I wouldn't be able to do it. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, we can make it my fault. I'm on board with
Right.
that.
Right.
So, the book starts with in the point of view of the main character, Ghost, Andrew Shelton,
Yeah.
who arrives in Casper with an artifact from the old world that he's bringing back to the mayor as kind of a job. He did it for pay. While there, he starts to, or rather, an event happens where a young girl is kidnapped, kind of inexplicably at first,
Hmm.
by a group of raiders, a group of very bad people. They get a hold of her and they take her. Ghost, being the person he is, even though he is typically not a seeker of people, he's a seeker of things.
Hmm.
He knows it's the right thing to do. And with alongside two people that were actually kind of in a bad situation,
Hmm.
he takes them along because they want to do the right thing too. They take him along and they start tracking this group to kind of northern Wyoming. I don't want to give away some of the locales,
No, no.
but they're tracking the girl and the group. Well, there's some kind of twists in between as far as one of the or two of the kidnappers as far as their motivations.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I yeah, I was gonna say, let's see how am I gonna do this one? The girl. Over some time, it starts to be realized that she's not exactly normal. She
A
has,
regular girl, right? She's not.
yeah, she has some capacities that make it pretty clear as to why they would expend a raid on a town, on an armed and fortified town, to just get one person.
Right.
It doesn't, a lot of it doesn't seem to make sense to the main character as far as like why this happened until it does.
Right.
Uh, and then we get a little bit of backstory as far as the person kind of pulling the strings and making this go.
Hmm.
Turns out that he's somebody from Ghost's past,
Right.
that they have a very long and ugly history, and makes it even more the case that Ghost really needs to get this done.
Right. King John, pure evil. Like he is a
Yeah.
nasty, nasty individual. But where does he come from? Like he's not really anyone special. How did someone like him get to be in the self-proclaimed king of the region?
Honestly, the event, like we talked about as
Yep.
far as the
Yep.
event of a world, the world ending, I've always believed that we would probably very quickly revert to strongman politics.
Right. Right.
And King John is absolutely a caricature of that. Maybe caricature is not the right word, but he is the embodiment, the
Right.
personification of strongman politics. And he's ruthless, he is
Hmm.
cruel, he is the Machiavellian idea of, anything by any means necessary, I will keep and retain my power.
Right.
And if that means killing literally everybody on the way and some other really nasty, things, he will do what he needs to do.
Yep.
And, slaving, murder, all of it. He is going to do what he needs to do, and that's why Neva becomes so important to him.
Right.
It's a power maneuver.
Yes, great. So everybody, you need to get out. You need to get this book, Keeper. I'm sorry, Seeker. Seeker. It's an keeper. It's an awesome
It's a
story.
keeper.
It's a keeper. It's a keeper. It's a Seeker's a keeper. It's an awesome story, and it's interesting that it's set so far in the future. And it's there's little snippets at the end of every chapter that have something from the past, like a story from the past, a diary entry from the past, a carving on a railway carriage, all little snippets about what's gone on since 2026 and 2134, which makes it even more exciting for the reader to kind of figure out how we got to this point. So there's a lot of good stuff in this book, and I highly recommend it to everybody. Now, I heard from you recently that book two is on the way.
I am working on it. Yeah. So it takes a little bit of a different tack, but unsurprisingly, it is also in Wyoming. Although it is, I do kind of have a 4 to 5 book arc planned that will take Seeker outside of his Wyoming comfort zone. But yes, the second book is based in Wyoming, but it's going to incorporate more towns than the first one. It'll The plan is, and I don't know how much of this geography is going to matter to your watchers, but we're going to go through some of it. It'll start kind of in Laramie and then go up to Douglas, go past Casper rather, Wheatland to Douglas, and then over to Thermopolis and Worland. Worland's where my family's from, so I'm actually kind of happy to kind of throw that one in there. But yeah, so there it's the I'm not going to get too much into the plot, but the long and short of it is that there is a large group. It's not a single person trying to maintain a power over the unit. It's kind of a religious death cult
Mm-hmm.
who has they've gotten wind of an unpermitted to their religion technology, and they want to shut it down.
Right.
And they are quite cruel to people who don't believe in their faith. They expect immediate uh, religious conversion, and if you don't, it can be bad for you. If they have the numbers to force it, it can be bad for you.
Right.
So this group will be the primary antagonist to Ghost and Crew for book two.
Fantastic. All right. Looking forward to this book. Rough release date sometime this year.
I'm hoping for the same April of next year because it's when I get it done. I'm going to want to go through the same process as far as getting it. I have an editor who's just been fantastic to work with. She is familiar with AP style as well
Mm-hmm.
as typical writing style, so she's able to go through those news articles and make sure that my journalism is correct and I'm not messing anything up. So, it's kind of interesting going through those interstitials and using different styles and like diary entries and speaking in many different voices.
Mm,
It can be hard to keep it all together, but you do your best.
great. Awesome. So until that time, everybody, you need to get a hold of Seeker, read Seeker, and then you'll be ready and anxious like me for when book two comes out next year. So Glenn S Robertson, thank you so much for coming on the channel. This is an amazing book. I can't stop raving about it. And I'm looking forward to book two, and we'll get you back on the channel and discuss that in more detail when it's here. So
Hey,
thanks again for coming on board.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love how much you love the book. It really does make me feel great.
Thank you so much. That's great.